There are still a lot of questions surrounding COVID-19. A big one is if you get sick, can you catch the virus again? That's what professors at the University of Kentucky are looking at in a new clinical trial. Jerry Woodward, a UK professor of immunology, says usually antibodies last for several years. But with a virus that's so new, Woodward says experts still do not know what level of antibody provides immunity. While there are many tests on the market that give yes or no answers to the antibody, Woodward says they may not be accurate.
The FDA relaxed their guidelines, and so a lot of questionable tests flooded the market. That isn't to say there are not some tests that are accurate. And so now what people have to be careful about is making sure they're getting a test that is accurate, but that they don't overinterpret the results of that test.
Woodward says UK uses tests that measure levels of antibodies versus those yes or no answers. He's hopeful that our body's antibody responses will be protective, but it's going to take time to prove that. As employees start returning to work, starting today, Governor Beshear is encouraging everyone to wear a mask, and that's anytime you're out in public. Victor Puente talked to some folks who say they are doing it for their safety.
Near the end of April, Governor Andy Beshear said starting May 11th, he would strongly recommend that any Kentuckians going out in public near other people wear a mask. While no one can force you to wear one, businesses could ask you to leave if you aren't, depending on their policies. Earlier today, I was outside of Meijer and Target on Reynolds Road. People wearing masks far exceeded those who weren't.
It's not all that comfortable, but it's the same as the seatbelt. I mean, I feel like I'm asked to wear a seatbelt.
One couple told me they came to Meijer looking for them, but left with their faces uncovered.
There are no masks available at all anywhere we've asked them there. There's no masks for sale.
They plan to make their own out of cloth and rubber bands. For employees at essential businesses, masks aren't optional. That's led to a lawsuit filed against the governor in federal court. That suit says the owner of Roberts Health Foods, Sybil France, believes the governor is trying to override the Constitution by requiring her employees to wear masks. It calls the pandemic a, quote, monstrous fraud. It also says their employees believe masks are suffocating. Doctors have told us those masks are effective at protecting other people should the person wearing one have the virus but be asymptomatic. For the people out shopping today, it's a little unsettling, but potentially part of the new normal.
We know some people from church have gotten sick from it, and so it's probably a good idea. It's maybe a little exaggerated, but it's a good idea.
And I just wish everyone would be united and say we're going to do what needs to be done to get over this.
In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Health officials say if you cannot find a mask, a bandana or something similar can work. Crews will begin dismantling the Nutter Fieldhouse Field Hospital this week. A spokesperson for UK says that process should be complete within a few days. UK has asked FEMA to be reimbursed for the roughly $6.7 million it paid to construct the makeshift hospital. The 400-bed field hospital was initially set up in preparation for a surge of COVID-19 patients. Hiking trails are now reopened at the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park after the park closed in late March. The national park is calling this a phased accessibility plan. This weekend, the park opened all the trails, but the trailheads at picnic areas, especially with restrooms nearby, are not open. All national parks work closely with the White House, the CDC, and local health officials on when to reopen the trails. Cumberland Gap National Historical Park officials say safety is always a top priority before making any decision.
Safety is paramount. And again, we're stressing it's safety for park neighbors. It's safety for the park visitors, and then it's safety for the park team. If people are not feeling well, they should not be coming to the park.
Park favorites like the Pinnacle Overlook is not accessible by driving, but you can hike to it. For added protection while hiking, officials suggest wearing a face mask. Park officials want to remind visitors that trash collection is still suspended due to the availability of cleaning supplies. You should, quote, pack it in and pack it back out. The community continues to rally behind and support each other during this pandemic. That's exactly what students at Perry Central are doing. Members of the Student Council are making rounds delivering You Matter candy bars to places deemed essential. Earlier today, Casey Campbell from the class of 2022 stopped here at WYMT to deliver bars to General Manager Neil Middleton, producer TJ Cottle, myself, and a few others that are remaining here in the building.
They matter and their job never stops, so we just want to thank them in our community for always doing their job and doing everything that they can for our community.
And my candy bar was delicious. The council has made rounds to postal workers, ambulance facilities, jails, and many other spots around town. Certainly a great thing they're doing. We appreciate it. Today, many businesses were able to reopen, including car dealerships, pet groomers, manufacturers, and photography. WYMT's Madison Pergram shows us how one photographer is implementing changes as she prepares to open.
The doors at Heather Larkey Photography Studio have stayed shut for weeks.
I did not expect this. The biggest thing is I've had to close my studio, which means not being able to capture big moments in families' lives, like, for example, my newborn and my first birthday sessions are my most popular.
But now under the governor's guidelines, Heather is excited to open her studio once again, but it isn't exactly back to normal.
For example, I will be allowing 24 hours between each studio session. That is just to ensure that I can properly clean and sanitize.
She's had her studio since 2008 and says she knows how much these pictures mean to people.
They are missing those sweet newborn photos. I usually recommend those within the first 2 weeks of life, and several of them have missed that opportunity.
Ensuring the safety of her clients is a top priority.
Especially for my newborn sessions, I will be wearing a mask and gloves because those sessions are more hands-on, where I do most of the posing. And so I just want to make sure that they stay extra safe.
Even with restrictions in place, like it's commonly said, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
These important events, you want to make sure that you capture, and I'm just happy to be able to do that again.
Getting the chance to capture some of life's greatest moments. In Laurel County, Madison Pergram, WYMT Mountain News.
Larkey is also strongly recommending that only the person being photographed and immediate family is at her sessions. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, an early morning fire kills a Southern Kentucky teenager. Now investigators are trying to figure out what led up to the blaze.
Warmer temperatures and scattered rain chances are on the way heading into the rest of the week. I'll have those details coming up.